there, it's Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to be starting off with a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch 110 pound Nina Solar White card base, and I have these 4 butterfly dies here. Now these are a set from AliExpress, so they come all 4 of them, and they're all a pretty similar size. I am going to choose 3 for today's project though, so I'm going to leave that one out, and these are the 3 that I'm going to be focusing on. We're going to be creating sort of like 2-for-1 cards. So you know how you kind of make one card and then make another card with the leftovers? Well, this is the first card here. So I have an 80-pound piece of Nina Solar White. And typically I will use the 110 pound for all of my card bases and then pretty much the 80 pound for everything else going. So I have just stuck down my 3 butterflies, pretty much sticking to the left-hand side, and run them through my die cutting machine. Then once I pull them out, I'm going to use a little pokey tool to get them out of my dies, and they die cut beautifully, and they leave that beautiful kind of silhouette there on my card front. And the next step to this card is figuring out what the interest is going to be behind these butterfly silhouettes. So I'm taking a pencil and I'm really lightly going around the shape of each butterfly because they are quite close together. And then I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Now this is the 50mm or 5cm wide tape, and you can see it kind of fits pretty perfectly with each of the butterflies. So I'm just cutting 3 individual pieces, and if I think it's going to go a little bit over top, I just trim a little bit off. And as I said, no one's going to see this part kind of in details up and down the sides, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I have these foils here that I bought. These are for nails, I believe. I will link them down below. I talked about them in a haul video at one time. They are just these small strips of foil that you can get super, super cheap. And it does mean that you don't have to buy a big packet of it at once, you know, where you spend sort of $4 to $6 or $8 even to try out a whole lot of the same colored sheets. So this just comes in like a variety pack, and I am using the red one here. And if you pull up the foil and it hasn't quite all stuck like you think it should have, then literally you just pop it right back down, burnish again, and you cannot notice any difference. So honestly, this is a go-to for me. It is such an easy, quick way of foiling, and pretty much any double-sided tapes or adhesives will work for this. So you can see I've got all 3 butterflies covered up, and I just chose these 3 colors. You could do any colors under the sun, or use the foils that you already have at home. You definitely don't need to use these ones. And then all I'm going to do is stamp a quick little sentiment that says "with sympathy and love." And then from here, there's a couple of things that you could do. You could either just adhere this straight down and either use some liquid glue, or some double-sided tape would work really well on top of those foils. Or I'm going to use some foam tape here. This is the foam tape from Alina. I will have it linked down below as well. And I am going to cut some of the pieces up, and the other bits I'll just leave the width that they come. And I've got my whole panel all popped up on foam tape, and then I'm going to pop it down. I was in the mood for crafting today, but I really just wanted to make a couple of really simple cards that didn't make me think too hard, and I just wanted a really nice kind of outcome. I didn't want complicated, so these were definitely the answer. I had thought about using some vellum or some silver glitter and popping the butterfly die cuts back in, but really I just felt like I loved the simplicity of them. So I want the foils to be kind of the main focus, and then I'm going to use some of these silver self-adhesive rhinestones and add a couple around the place, and I really like how it turned out. It's such a beautiful soft card. So what are your go-tos when you just want to make a kind of really calm, easy card and you don't want to have to get really deep and thoughtful and complicated? What kind of cards do you sit down to make at your craft space? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you guys are your go-tos. So now we're going to start on the second card. Again, I've got another card base, and these are the butterflies that I originally cut out from my first card, and they're just in plain white cardstock. And then I have this little set of frame dies here. Now because I have not separated mine, you can see that you would cut in here if you wanted to cut them apart. However, I have kept mine together for now. So when I die cut these at the moment, they create all of these lovely frames. Otherwise, they would just kind of cut the outside of it. But because I haven't cut them apart, they cut the inside and outside. And that works well for me at the moment. But I'm going to use some liquid glue, and in this bottle is the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte finish, and I have glued together, I think there were 5 frames here, so it's made a nice thick sort of chipboard effect. Then I'm using some archival ink in Shadow Grey. It's just because it was kind of a nice grey colour to me. And it's just going to say the happiest of birthdays. I just wanted it to stamp it in grey instead of black because I just wanted it to kind of be a nice soft card again. I didn't want this one to stand out at all. It was going to be white on white. So I'm gluing down my frames onto my card base, and then this one is unbelievably simple. I'm just going to put these 3 butterflies, and I'm going to pop up the centers kind of down the bodies using some of the foam tape again, so that they've got a little bit of added dimension to them. And then I will add a little bit of liquid glue under the wings, and that will kind of glue onto the frame, so they'll be nice and secure there, and they won't be able to go anywhere. But as I said, this is kind of a 2-for-1 deal, and I was really using up the butterflies, but I do really like how this card came out. And as I said, it's a really kind of soft, nice birthday card with nothing really bold and in your face. And that's just the type of cards that I guess I felt like creating today. Some days I like going bold and colourful and bright, and other days, this was just a day, as I said, I wanted to sit down and create cards that weren't too complicated. So I've put some foam tape on the kind of bottom of this one so that it will sit up a little bit, and then a little bit of liquid glue up on the top of the wings, and that will stay put there. Then I'm going to add lots of a clear glitter pen. These are also from Ali, and I'll link to everything down below that I possibly can. You can get these in different colors as well. However, I pretty much just stuck to getting the silver kind of clear one because I feel like with that one, I can go over any color that I want to, and it still gives it that nice shimmer rather than being restricted by the color of the ink inside of the pen as well. But to each his own. I know some people absolutely love them and get them in all the colors as well. So you can kind of pick up that really nice shine here, and I think it makes a big difference when you've just got a white on white card, so it's quite important. Then the very last thing that I'm going to do is add a few of these Nuvo drops. This is the Morning Dew color, and it dries completely transparent and clear. So as I said, white on white, and it just kind of adds some of those tiny little finishing touches. So those were the 2 cards for today. Just reminding you, we have an amazing Facebook group. The link will be down in the description box down below if you would like to come and join us to share and talk about all of your card creations. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate your time spent watching my videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks so much. See you later. Bye.